Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Keller.
It is not Scott Shasteen. It is Smash and Ken down at London's tonight. We're going to give you a good show tonight.
And the Rowdy Rascals are in the house.
All right, we got a crew, and we got a pretty good crowd going. You know, London's is always steak night on Monday night.
Oh, man, but, you know, me and Scott, you know, tasted some of them awesome steaks just a few weeks ago. We sampled them live here at London's. They are the best steaks in Middle Tennessee, guaranteed. Come out and have your filet mignon tonight. Watch a little Monday football, a little throwback rivalry game. We got the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Redskins tonight. NFC East tilt, big game there. So that's going to be pretty good ball game tonight.
Or you could come down and watch the Preds play the Sabres tonight.
Oh, there you go. And Smash has his Preds hat on. He's ready tonight. We've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to break this down in 4 different segments. We're going to talk in segment 1, the big SEC championship game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this past Saturday. A great gridiron battle between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. In the second segment, we're going to talk more college football. Did the College Football Playoff Committee get it right? Best 4 versus most deserving. 3 teams in a battle for that Final 4 slot. Did the College Playoff Committee get it right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to debate it a little bit. We're going to mix it up and try to figure out if the committee got it right or not. In the 6:30 segment number 3, we're going to talk about who won the state championships in Tennessee high school football. State champs were crowned this past week in Cookeville, Tennessee. So we're going to break that down for you. We're going to talk a little bit Tennessee Vol offensive coordinator position. You know, who's the likely candidate to get that? A lot of teams in the U-Free sweepstakes. We're going to break that down for you. Also, 11 out of 14 teams are going bowling in the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, the best conference in college football. We're going to talk about bowl destinations in segment 3. Where are those teams going? Look at those matchups. We're not going to predict them. We're just going to tell you who's playing who. And then in the last segment, we're going to turn Smash loose. We're going to kind of wind him up, turn him loose a little bit here with the NFL playoff picture. The Titans had a big win yesterday, comeback victory over the New York Jets at home in Nashville at Nissan Stadium, and of course his specialty, the NHL and the Nashville Preds. But we're going to start out tonight, Smash, with that epic battle in Atlanta, Georgia this past weekend. I was there, and I'm going to tell you, man, it was the most spectacular sports football day I've ever had in my life, man. It was tremendous. I got the opportunity to go down there to Atlanta to Fanfare and enjoy all the festivities, see the college football SEC legends, and it was just an unbelievable event on Saturday.
I saw a couple tweets that you put out there. Did you actually get to meet Feinbaum, or was that like a setup thing?
Yeah, I actually, got there about 9:10, thunderstorming all the way down there to Atlanta. I saw 6 accidents on the way down, man. So, it was, traffic wasn't that bad, just people driving crazy. From Chattanooga to Atlanta, I saw 6 accidents. Didn't look like anybody was seriously hurt. I got there, parked right across from the stadium, got in and had the opportunity to meet SEC media guest Laura Rutledge and Paul Feinbaum, and man, that was such a great treat right there. Had the opportunity to speak with both of them. I told Laura Rutledge, I said, Laura, do not go to the NFL like Samantha Ponder has. I said, the SEC needs you. Don't go to the NFL. And she kind of laughed a little bit about that and talked to Paul Feinbaum just a little bit, and that was a big treat to meet those two, man. They do a great job with SEC Network.
Yeah, that's the reason why he has his own show on ESPN. Is he has so many accolades, and he's been doing it for years. So I mean, that's a legend. I mean, even as what we do, it's a legend in our field, because he's been doing it for years.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity to meet those two, man, and that was a big treat. And then after that, I saw Ryan McGee walking around. He's got that, Marty and McGee, that great sports show on SEC Network. Ryan McGee, a big Tennessee. He's a Tennessee graduate, big Vol fan. We talked about that a little bit, so that's pretty cool meeting Ryan McGee. And then after that, they brought two SEC former quarterbacks of the Alabama Crimson Tide and Georgia Bulldogs. Got to meet Aaron Murray of the Georgia Bulldogs and Greg McElroy for Alabama. Got both of those guys' autograph. And you talk about this SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia. You can't talk about SEC, Alabama, and Georgia without talking about the 2012 SEC championship game that Aaron Murray played in, Smash. That game where Aaron Murray did not really lose the game, but simply ran out of time on the 1-yard line of Alabama. Alabama pulled that one out. Nick Saban winning his second national championship in 2012 after they boat raced Notre Dame by beating Georgia in that game 32-28.
That was a definite heartbreaker for Georgia and all the Georgia fans. I have a couple of Georgia fans that were on my Facebook and social media, and they were just they were inconsolable at that point in time. They just wanted it so bad, and had played, I believe they played them earlier in that year and barely lost to them in the year before the SEC championship. So that was a brutal way to end it, because they were right there and they just couldn't punch it in.
Well, 3 of the last 4 times that Alabama's played Georgia, they've just simply ripped their heart out. That being the first one right there. We are live at London's on the Shasteen Show. Our main co-host, Scott Shasteen, out on special assignment tonight. Daniel Scoggins filling in. We're talking SEC Championship Saturday, SEC Fanfare. I want to encourage every one of you, even if your team is not playing in the SEC Championship, buy a $10 ticket. Go down there for the festive atmosphere of Fanfare. It was absolutely unbelievable. You'll see SEC stars there. You'll see media personalities. It's just a great setup. The bands of both teams play, whoever's playing in the game, and just both teams hyped up, because there was a chance going into this game, Smash, that 2 SEC teams could get into the college playoff, the field of 4. Most of the prognosticators, the experts, said Alabama was a shoe-in. Even if they lost, they would stay at 4. Georgia obviously would be in, probably go to number 2 behind Clemson. But if Georgia lost a close game, that they was probably going to sneak in at number 4. You heard Kirk Herbstreit. You heard a lot of these other ESPN experts and media sports personalities predict that Georgia was going to get that 4 slot. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. But what an epic battle it was. On Saturday, a packed house, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's my first time being in that new stadium, and Smash. There's not a bad seat in the house there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard that they play that they have Chick-fil-A on Sundays there, and that's a big draw for them.
Yeah,
they had to get a contract from Chick-fil-A to just say we're gonna serve our product on Sundays, because their business model doesn't allow that to happen.
Yeah, it was fantastic. At that SEC Fanfare, they got various games and stuff set up. You throw football, kick field goals, do different activities that are fun day. They give out T-shirts. I'm wearing one of those shirts, and really this is the topic of our show tonight, that football season is mayhem, and that's what we're really going to talk about tonight, because we certainly saw it in the SEC championship game. We saw it with that college football selection playoff committee decision on Sunday morning, and so saw lots of things transpire there on Saturday. But a great game, great festive atmosphere. Being at the game, Smash, it was about 55-45 Georgia Bulldog fans to Alabama fans, and they're playing Teenage Wasteland right before the game, working, smoke coming out of the tunnels before Alabama and Georgia come out of their tunnels, and man, it just really got fired up in the pregame. Both fan base is just going absolute berserk.
I imagine that. I mean, the two best teams in college football are about to go at it. So, I mean, like you said before, I think it was last week, you said that's a national championship.
Yeah, and you know, and I thought that. Yeah,
it lived up to the hype, too. I mean, Georgia looked like the whole game pretty much until about the middle third quarter that they were going to control it and it was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, Tua got hurt and all pandemonium. Football is mayhem.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. You know, you come out early in that game, and, you know, Alabama stuffs Georgia on the first series, you know, and then they get a big punt return from freshman Jalen Waddle, who had a tremendous game, returned it to about the 33-yard line. Alabama drives down to the 6 with the 1st and goal, and then decides to throw 3 passes for some reason. So that kind of bewildered, us fans a little bit.
They took the Butch Jones effect.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. You know, we were yelling, run the ball at that point. And so Alabama had a chance. They kicked off to start the game. They won the toss, you know, and to steal that kind of possession there and stuff Georgia and then score first. But that did not happen, you know. So Alabama doesn't score there. As a matter of fact, Tua, I think, gets picked off on that first series right there. And so Alabama came away with no field goal attempt or anything, a squandered opportunity. And really, you know, the things I talked about last week that Georgia had an advantage over Alabama was 3 factors. And then the first one was the revenge factor. No doubt about it. Georgia came into this game with a chip on their shoulder after losing the national championship last year 26-23. And they played like an angry team that had to win. Their back was against the wall. They had to win. Alabama could probably lose and back in. And you saw that emotion. You saw that chip in Georgia's shoulder early in the game, didn't you?
Yeah, you could see that they really wanted to play them tough. They didn't want to get behind. So the whole game, it seemed like they weren't pressing, but they were playing their style of football, and it was working.
Yeah.
And their defense looked really good against Tua. Held him lower points than he's had all season. And then he got hurt, and then it all changed.
Yeah. So we talked last week about the revenge factor for Georgia. We talked about DeAndre Swift being the best running back in college football last week, and Alabama having trouble controlling him on the edges. They had trouble. DeAndre Swift had 2 touchdowns in that game. And then the tight end Isaac Nada over the middle, who gashed Alabama, caught a touchdown pass, caught a big 55-yard gain he had in the third quarter. Alabama had trouble with those 3. And conversely, Alabama Tua on relatively early. The Alabama wide receivers had some key drops. Jerry Jeudy drops a touchdown pass. Irv Smith drops a big 40-yard pass over the middle. Tua could not get any rhythm going. He's got sprained his ankle early on that first drive, and he just couldn't run the whole game. Georgia kept him in the pocket. Without his scrambling ability, Georgia teed off, kept him in the pocket, and for a team smash that came into that game in the SEC with the least amount of sacks, Georgia harassed Alabama's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, the entire game that he was in there.
I'm glad you said his name because I wasn't going to.
So definitely they harassed him.
Yeah,
made life uncomfortable.
They made him uncomfortable, and that's a hot quarterback. That's what you have to do. Tom Brady. What do you have to do? You have to get him off his point. And a couple of weeks ago, that's what the Titans did, and you saw the recipe. They beat them. So it's just like the same recipe. You get that quarterback off their spot, get them aggravated, and you can win the game.
Absolutely. So Tua throws 2 interceptions, uncharacteristic of him. He had not thrown 2 interceptions in a game all season. Alabama goes into the half trailing 21-14. And I said to Janice Harder, who was sitting right beside me in the upper deck, we had great seats there. But I said we're all right. I said we played terrible the first half, but only down by 7 points. So I felt relatively comfortable. We're going to receive the ball, even though Alabama had a chance at the end of the first half, had a roughing, running into the kicker, gave Georgia a first down, so they lost an opportunity to get points there at the end of the first half. They take the second half kickoff, and they get stuffed, 3 and out. And on their first two possessions coming out of the third quarter, Georgia gets the ball back, hits that long pass to Isaac Nada, 55 yards. Alabama runs him down at the 20-yard line. As an Alabama fan, the game's 28-14. Georgia had scored a touchdown in the third quarter. They complete that long pass to Nada. I said, uh-oh, Bama's in definite trouble right here. And before the game, I'm watching. Georgia had Rodrigo Blankenship. Decided advantage in special teams, especially at the field goal kicker. Alabama struggled with extra points all year, and Joseph Beluvis, the field goal kicker for them, not near on par as Blankenship. Blankenship, I saw him kick a 62-yard field goal in pregame.
Wow.
And his guy booted it, 45-yard line, at 10:55. It had 7 yards to spare. He runs off the field into the locker room in pregame after kicking that 62-yard field goal. I said, Bama's in trouble if it comes down to kick. What happens? Blankenship misses wide left a 30-yard field goal to give Alabama new life. I think that would have clinched the game there for Georgia. They would have been up 31-14 at that point. 28-21. Tua leads a touchdown for Alabama drive. 28-21 going in the fourth quarter, and then something strange happens along the way. Tua, in a ironic twist, he gets hurt, twist of the ankle. He has to leave the game, gets carted off to the locker room. Jalen Hurts, who was replaced at halftime last year of the national championship, the rest was history. Second 26. Tua leads Alabama to the comeback win in the national championship. Oh, so the best was yet to come. Bench 26-2 a starter, 26-2 for Jalen Hurts. He just brings Alabama back cool, calm, and collected. Converts multiple third down opportunities, some big ones, third and double digits on some of those smash. What a comeback by Jalen Hurts, leading Alabama back to a 35-28 win.
And you know me, I'm not an Alabama fan by any stretch of the means, but I have to give it up for Jalen Hurts. I think it was great that he got to come back and kind of exercise those demons that, because you don't want to be the quarterback that gets passed over, and he did in the national championship. But he swallowed his pride, he stayed with them, and he led them to an SEC championship.
Yeah, absolutely, he did. And, he gave us spark. And, you're sitting there, Tua's laying on the field, and no knock against Tua, but the Alabama fans in unison started to chant very loudly throughout the Mercedes-Benz Dome, Jalen. And you could see the Alabama players start to jump up on the bench. They're waving towels, and you could see at that point really the momentum and the energy level switch to the Alabama sidelines right there. But before we go to break, I got a text from one of my buddies today, and this is all I'm going to say about Jalen. It's great to see team before me in this day and age, and this is what was said in the tweet about Jalen Hurts. He definitely had a gladiator mentality, but it said this about Jalen: forget SEC and national championships. Forget record streaks. None of it matters. Tell your kids about Jalen. Tell them about humility and waiting for your shot, and then waiting for it again. Tell them what character looks like, and tell them it doesn't matter what happens from here. We'll be right back to discuss the college football playoffs. Did the committee get it right? We'll talk best four versus most deserving. I'm Ken Keller. Daniel Scoggins in for Scott Shasteen tonight on the Shasteen Show. We'll be back after this break.
Driven by Russell Barnett Ford, live at London's. This is the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We're the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Builder Supply in Tullahoma is your one-stop for all the building materials you need for your next project. Their paint center has a full line of Benjamin Moore paints to brighten any room. Trust the experts, Bubba, Joe, and the gang at Builder Supply, 301 South Atlantic Street, Tullahoma.
Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs is the place to go when you're hungry for good country cooking. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Friday nights 4 to 7:30 with Friday night trivia starting at 6:15. Breakfast is served all day, every day at Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs.
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back. It is The Shasteen Show. I am Smash Dan Scroggins, and I am with my baseball commentating cohort throughout the Tullahoma baseball schedule, Ken Keller.
Well, we had a good time. We did basketball together. We did a little girls softball together. We did it, man. We've done everything but a football game.
Exactly. We need to do a football game sometime.
It could happen. Never say never.
We're going to talk about some college football.
Yeah, because football season is mayhem.
Exactly.
And the college football playoff debate was mayhem this weekend, no doubt about it, Smash. So let's set this up. So 3 teams, there was no debate on who was going to be the top 3 spots. Alabama unanimous, 13-0. They beat Georgia 35-28. Win all their games in the regular season by 20-plus points, get pushed to the brink. They come back from a 28-14 deficit against Georgia, the first team in SEC football championship history to come back from 14 down. Alabama was first team to come back from a deficit at halftime down. So they overcame 2 14-point deficits to advance and lock down that number 1 slot. So we knew Alabama was going to be number 1 after beating the Bulldogs. But we didn't know if Georgia was going to get in or not. So number 2, we knew that the Clemson Tigers. Clemson had a strong season. Trevor Lawrence replacing Kelly Bryant early in the season, I believe 3rd or 4th game. And Dabo Swinney and his Clemson Tigers, they get in for their 4th college football playoff in 5 years. Alabama been in 5 out of 5. The only team in college football to get in 5 out of 5. Clemson 4 out of 5. And Ohio State fan just came in. They've been in 2 out of 5. And then the 3rd team, Notre Dame. Everybody knew Notre Dame was going to get in. Although, let's put an asterisk by Notre Dame right now because we're going to throw them into the debate. They did not play a conference championship game. Okay, and we're going to talk about who they play in the first round. They're supposed to be affiliated with the ACC. They play a couple ACC teams. Why didn't the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Clemson Tigers play in the regular season or the ACC championship? And why doesn't Notre Dame ever play Clemson in the ACC if they are in the ACC? So I'm just dangling that little carrot out there. So those 3 we knew was going to probably get in for sure. Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3 or 4, probably number 3. The great debate, Smash, was for that number 4 slot. Who's it going to be? The Georgia Bulldogs with 2 losses. There's been no team ever get in with 2 losses in the 5-year history of the college football playoffs. Would it be the Oklahoma Sooners and now maybe probable Heisman Trophy front runner Kyler Murray and that explosive Oklahoma offense that has had their defense ripped to shreds multiple occasions this year in that Big 12 conference? They come in at 12-1, win the Big 12 championship, avenge, and I think this is key, avenge their only loss of the season, 3 points to the Texas Longhorns. They beat them by 12 in the Big 12 championship. So is it going to be Georgia? 2-loss Georgia. Is it going to be Big 12 champion, 1 loss, Oklahoma, who avenged their only team that beat them, the Texas Longhorns, or the Ohio State Buckeyes, who put a cataclysmic beatdown on what was supposed to be the best defense in the nation just a couple weeks ago, the Michigan Wolverines. They curb stomped Michigan 62-39, and then they come out and put a solid beatdown on Northwestern, albeit a team that had lost 4 games in the regular season. Not much of a contest there in the Big Ten championship for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But Ohio State had kind of that big albatross around their neck. That 49-20 loss at Purdue in the regular season. An unranked Purdue at that time, 29-point smash. That was too big to overcome for the Ohio State Buckeyes, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it was their only blemish, but it was a big blemish. That was something that the committee just could not overlook. Me personally, my top 4 would have been Alabama number 1 after Saturday's games had been over. It would have been Alabama number 1, Clemson number 2. I would have put Georgia 3, and then I would have put Oklahoma as 4.
Wow, so you would have bumped Notre Dame. I don't think because you didn't like their schedule. And
they almost got beat by Vanderbilt.
Well, they did have a big win first game of the season over Michigan, but we saw what Michigan was. They got exposed by Ohio State. So if you look at those 2 games, you got to give Ohio State the edge over Notre Dame there because they beat Michigan considerably worse. And then you look at Syracuse. A lot of teams talk about how good Syracuse was. I mean, who did Syracuse really beat this year? And then they got pushed to the brink against USC the last game of the season out there in Los Angeles, 24-17. It was behind for a large part of that game. Didn't look very strong. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I could have booted Notre Dame out of the top 4 there because they did not go through the peril of playing that extra conference championship game. And you want to talk about Alabama and Ohio State both getting in the 5 years without winning a conference championship. Big deal. Their schedules were much tougher than what Notre Dame played this year. So I could sell that theory or discombobulate that theory and blow it to smithereens that, hey, Notre Dame just didn't have the schedule this year.
No, they didn't. And funny thing that you were talking about Herb Street. Herb Street put out a tweet before the college committee made their decision, and he actually said that he would put Georgia at 3.
Well, yeah, and Herb Street trumpeted big for Georgia, okay? And I'll tell you who else would agree with you. Certainly Kirby Smart. Yep. Kirby Smart, Georgia Bulldog coach, been popping his mouth off. He said, we expected the college committee not to let us in because they knew that the Georgia Bulldogs would be bringing home the hardware. Do you believe that? Do you believe that if Georgia got into this playoff that they would be the team to beat instead of Alabama?
I don't know, but I would pay money to see Clemson and Georgia play. That's the reason why I wanted 2 and 3, and then Alabama playing Oklahoma. Oklahoma's offense against Alabama's defense. I want to see that matchup too. Yeah, those are the 4 teams that I want to see go at it.
Yeah, but they wasn't going to do that. The 3 they locked in, so it was going to be Alabama against Georgia at number 4. But let me tell you a couple things I saw and I noticed, and I knew before the committee announced that the Oklahoma Sooners were going to be the number 4 team, and I'm going to tell you why. Because at about 10 minutes before it was announced, Lincoln Riley does not have a very good poker face. When he came on at 11:20, this guy was the most calmest head football coach before a college football committee announcement that I've ever seen. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that I have a theory of why he was so calm, because I believe that he already knew through his athletic director that the Oklahoma Sooners were going to be in the college playoff and bump the Georgia Bulldogs. This guy's cool, calm, and collected. If you saw it, oh yeah, we're fixing to get on a plane. We're going to go to Texas. We're going to recruit. The Oklahoma Sooners will go play anybody that they want us to play. We did our job. We won. We avenged our only loss. But he was just talking so calm. But I want to pull up something right here for our audience and inform people that don't know that a certain individual was on the College Football Playoff Committee. And this gentleman's name is Joe Castiglione. For those of you who do not know Joe Castiglione, he is the athletic director for the Oklahoma Sooners. Okay? You have a 13-man committee here, and I know that he's supposed to get recused from the room before the Final Four is picked. They're supposed to take their hats. They wear them there. They take them off. They got a little hanger. They got to put their hat and not wear their emotions on their sleeves before they go into that room. He was probably not in that room when they made the final decision. But I suggest, and I say, that yes, the committee was influenced by this member that was on the committee, Oklahoma's athletic director. There are biases involved, and for that reason, the Oklahoma Sooners were picked before the Georgia Bulldogs. So is this most deserving, or is it the best four? Did the college football committee get the best four teams? Well, the odds makers say so, because if you put a neutral field, Georgia Bulldog against Oklahoma, Georgia favored by 4 points. If you put the Georgia Bulldogs against Ohio State Buckeyes, neutral field, Georgia favored by 7 points. Okay, so the odds makers say the best team, they would be favored by Georgia 10 or 11 over Notre Dame. So is it best four, most deserving? Smash?
No.
You say the right four teams were not put in.
I definitely think that Notre Dame has not earned it. I mean, I understand that they went undefeated, but you could go undefeated with their schedule. I mean, I was fully on expecting USC to beat them.
Yeah.
That's because Notre Dame, when the going gets tough, Notre Dame typically, as of recently, I should say, does not rise to the occasion. They tend to fold.
So Smash says the college football committee did not get it right. I say the college football committee did get it right. I would have put Oklahoma at 3, and I'd have dropped Notre Dame to 4. I'd have put Oklahoma and Clemson together. I'd have put Alabama and Notre Dame together in Dallas, moved Clemson and Clemson and Oklahoma to Miami to the Orange Bowl. And this is why I say that Georgia should have been denied the chance as I close here in about 15 seconds for our break. Georgia got curb stomped by 20 points at LSU. That was a bad loss, 36-16. They were favored by a field goal in that game. They lost by 20 points. And Georgia, Kirby Smart, I'm going to end this right now. You had your chance against Alabama, and you called the worst fake punt call in the history of college football. 3 minutes to go, 28-28. You put your backup quarterback Justin Fields on the field. Alabama knew what you was going to do. You blew it on 4th and 11 right there. Alabama wins it 35-28. You don't deserve a rematch. You lost 2 games. No two-loss team has ever been to the national college football playoff. You lost it right there. Take us to break right here, Smash.
Ooh, we need some water for Ken. He's got to cool off a little bit. All right. Driven by Russell Barnett. Forward. We are live at London's. This is the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month. What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
Get the gig. Get the world's fastest internet with LightTube. That's 1 gig down, 1 gig up internet speeds for only $89.95 per month. Call LightTube today to upgrade and get the gig. Call us at 455-4515 to learn more. LightTube. Local people, local service.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
We are back at London's. where Monday night is steak night. And I am joined with Ken Keller. I am Smash, and we're going to talk a little high school football.
High school football, TSSAA state champions crown Thursday through Saturday in Cookeville at Tennessee Tech Stadium, and Smash is going to break down the Tennessee State Championship game results here for us on the Shasteen Show. Dan Scroggins in for Scott Shasteen tonight, who is out on special assignment. I'm Ken Keller. Break those things down for us, Smash. Break those scores down for us.
I know a few people that might be interested to know the one game is Cornersville. Cornersville played Whitehaven, and Cornersville led all the whole game, 6-0.
Oh, defensive battle.
Defensive battle.
Class 1A.
Class 1A.
Yeah.
And in the fourth quarter, Cornersville lost.
Oh man!
Last minute drive.
Oh wow!
They lost 7-6.
Oh, that's a shame. What a heartbreaker. Oh, absolutely.
I saw some of the stats on the game. Cornersville led the whole game in yards, passing yards, and rushing yards. So Cornersville pretty much shut down Whitewell. I said it wrong. Whitwell. And it was a last-second drive, and Whitwell just marched down the field.
Wow!
Got that last-second touchdown.
Yeah, I had a good friend, call me today, and Georgia had led the whole game. I'm going to get back to that for just hold that thought here about Whitwell coming back and clipping Cornersville 7-6 in the Class 1A. Last 2 years, Alabama and Georgia have played two epic games, 290 plays in 2 years in those games. Alabama has led for 9 out of the 290 and won both games. Now, is that not a staggering statistic right there? And so much like what you talked about here, Cornersville really gained control. They kind of controlled the game. They controlled the stats, have a 6-0 lead. And give Whitwell credit. They came in, Whitwell or Cornersville didn't really lose the game. Whitwell just come and took it away from them.
Exactly. And another game that's in our Middle Tennessee region would be Oakland.
6A. Here we go, 6A.
6A championship, Oakland versus Whitehaven. That's where I had the Whitehaven. I apologize for that before, but Oakland absolutely demolished Whitehaven, 37-0.
Wow, good for the Patriots. Convincing fashion. 37-0 whipping over Memphis Whitehaven.
They got their first state championship, so that's a good thing, and it was right here on 93.9 The Duck.
Another 6A champions, Oakland Patriots. Had a great season. They beat Maryville, enacted revenge on them to get here. And, man, they finished it off. No doubt about it, man. That's your best team in 6A this year.
They exercised some past demons.
They sure did.
From last year with that
the Maryville Rebels. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Another game of interest is Greenville versus Haywood, the 4A championship.
4A, yeah.
Greenville 56, Haywood 21.
Oh wow! Yeah,
they dominated again.
Yeah, so the Green Devils follow up on that 43-8 thrashing at Maplewood last week, and then they come and light up 55 this week. So the Greenville Green Devils, they take your 4A Tennessee state champions. 2A
state championship is Peabody versus Trousdale County. Close game. I really didn't pay very much attention to this, but the score was Peabody 17 to Trousdale 9.
Well, 17-9, so a close ball game there. Two close games, a couple blowouts, and our fine host Scott Shasteen said in the past, normally you get to these state championship games, you have blowouts. We've seen a couple of those, but a couple close games here as well.
The Division 2A championship was Davison Academy versus Friendship Christian. That was 39 Davison County, Friendship Christian 28. So that was a relatively close game. CPA, that's kind of a
Christ Presbyterian Academy.
Middle Tennessee school against BGA, the Battleground Academy. That's Nashville school. Division II AA state championship, and CPA pulled that one out 41, BGA 21.
41-21. There you go.
So that was a.
What about 5A? Do you have 5A?
5A.
5A and 2A. Do we?
5A was Knoxville Central against Henry County. Knoxville Central was 14 and Henry County was 9.
Okay, so Knoxville Central knocked out, I believe, Steve Matthews in the quarterfinals or the semifinals, and so they go on to become state champions. And what about 2A?
2A was Peabody and
Okay, so we already got that one.
3A is one that Scott talked about before, and that was Alcoa and Covington. Alcoa was going for to take the lead, or no, tie Maryville for the most state championships, and they did it.
They did it.
Alcoa 21, Covington 14.
Oh, good ball game, 21-14. Pretty good defensive matchup, not a whole lot of points. The Alcoa Tornado take 3A, as Mr. Shasteen said they would. So that's your high school football Tennessee State champions crowned this past weekend. So before we break down the SEC Bowl participants and their destinations, I want to talk a little bit about that offensive coordinator position that's open with the Tennessee Vols. A lot of talk this past weekend, Tennessee and Georgia fans alike. Do you believe that the Tennessee Vols, Phil Fulmer, Jeremy Pruitt, are going to close the deal and announce tomorrow that Hugh Freeze, former Ole Miss head coach, that's had a few transgressions, now forgiven, is going to be the new offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Vols?
Well, I do think it's.
What say you?
I do think it's interesting that they took the time to check with the SEC commissioner to say, will you allow us to do this? Is he free to come in and interview for a job? I think that's interesting. But I don't know if they're willing to take on that baggage, and because it's a relatively young team, that is starting over. I don't know if they're willing to take on that baggage with Hugh Freeze.
Well, and is that the certainly this guy's a dynamic play caller. He runs that RPO offense. It's certainly dynamic. You put an RPO quarterback in there. He did it with Bo Wallace. Beat Alabama 2 years in a row. Bo Wallace and Shea Patterson. So he did it with a couple different guys, and or Chad Kelly. I'm sorry, not Shea Patterson. Chad Kelly and Bo Wallace. So but he's probably one and done. He goes to Tennessee and does good for a year. He'll go somewhere else and take a head coaching job. Tennessee's also reportedly interviewed Dan Enos, the quarterback coach for Alabama, because there's some speculation that Mike Loxley, the current offensive coordinator with Alabama, is going to take the head coaching gig at Maryland, and perhaps take Jalen Hurts with him as his quarterback. A lot of rumors in Tuscaloosa flying around this evening that's what's going to happen. We'll see there. And then Chad Lindsey, Tennessee also interviewed him, but he's reportedly going to go with the Mad Hatter. Les Miles landed his first big coup of college football. Chad Lindsey is going to leave Auburn, spurn Tennessee, and go become the offensive coordinator with the Kansas Jayhawks. How about that one? That just was announced late this evening as well.
Well, he's always going to get who he wants. So because he's just that type of draw.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Kansas said, "Here's the keys to the doors.
Yeah,
do what you
we're going to see what happens there with Tennessee, but we see that Tennessee websites is reporting that the Vols may hit the reset button and go after someone else if you freeze. Rocky Top Insider reported tonight that there are some hurdles, quote unquote, to overcome in the Vols hiring of you freeze. So we'll see there. So we have a few minutes for segment. Let's break these. Tell you where all the SEC teams are going. 11 out of 14 teams qualified. The Texas Bowl, the Vanderbilt Commodores against the Baylor Bears. Baylor seems to have home field advantage. We'll go through these real quick. Not picking a winner, but Vandy, Baylor, good matchup. You like that one? Vandy got a chance?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Vandy typically they don't rise to the occasion whenever it's
we'll see. Big win. The last week of the season, Vanderbilt beating Tennessee, knocking them out of a bowl berth and gaining one. So they'll play the Baylor Bears and former Tennessee Vol. They've got a certain wide receiver. What's his name?
Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd. So Vanderbilt versus Jalen Hurd and the Baylor Bears. Gator Bowl in Florida. Texas A&M will play. Well, I wrote the wrong team down there. So
A&M.
I'm not sure who A&M plays. They go to the Gator Bowl. I wrote Baylor down twice. Hurrying up for the show, so I messed that one up. But the A&M and Jimbo Fisher going to the Gator Bowl. Florida Citrus Bowl. Kentucky Wildcats against the Penn State Nittany Lions of the Big Ten.
That'd be a good game.
Penn State 7-point favorites in that game. So you got the big running back Benny Snell going against Jeremy Franklin and Penn State Nittany Lions there. You like that matchup?
That might be an actual good game. I'd like to see that.
Well, Derek Dooley, as offensive coordinator for the Missouri Tigers, has got the Missouri Tigers going to the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. They play the Oklahoma State Cowboys. That should be a lot of points in that game out there. High-scoring affair there. The Belk Bowl in North Carolina, South Carolina going against Virginia from the ACC. That's your Belk Bowl matchup. Fiesta Bowl, I like this one. One of the New Year's Six Bowls. The LSU Tigers against Central Florida, 2 undefeated seasons. We didn't talk about UCF. Their quarterback went down with a severe knee injury. Any shot? Would you have given UCF consideration for that Final Four playoff berth?
They're on the same page as Notre Dame.
I agree. I did not have UCF even a consideration, but LSU better beware because CF beat Auburn last year. Going to have a point to prove against LSU this year. The Auburn Tigers, as I just mentioned, they'll be in Nashville, the Music City Bowl. They'll play the Purdue Boilermakers, who had that big win against LSU or Ohio State. That's going to be a good ball game. Mississippi State, as we move up the ladder, they're in the Outback Bowl. They got a great defense. They'll play the Iowa Hawkeyes, another Big Ten team. So a couple of SEC Big Ten matchups. That should be a good one. Smash. Chick-fil-A Bowl, Florida Gators, Michigan Wolverines. I'm going to be rooting for Florida in that game, but I think that's a tough matchup for the Gators against Michigan, especially after they got abused by Ohio State.
I can never root for Florida.
Yeah, I think Jim Harbaugh's going to have a point to prove there. So that's going to be a tough one, I think, for Florida. You think so?
Probably. They have something to prove, and Florida, I mean, what do they have to prove, really?
Sugar Bowl. Georgia did not make the playoff, but they earned a battle. They earned a Sugar Bowl berth. They're going to be tasting the sugar here as they face the Texas Longhorns.
I think that's a blowout.
2 SEC Big 12 matchups. You got the Sugar Bowl, Texas, the Big 12 runner-up against Georgia, the SEC runner-up, and then you've got the Orange Bowl playoff battle, 7 p.m., the second game of the college football playoff after Notre Dame and Clemson. Oklahoma and Alabama, the Big 12 champ versus the SEC champ. So that's your SEC matchups.
A lot of points on that one. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, lots of points on that one. So we got one segment left. We're going to talk NFL when we get back. We're going to turn Smash loose, look at the NFL playoff picture, talk about the Titans' big win, comeback victory against the Jets, and some Nashville Predator talk here as we come back. Take us to our break, Smash.
Driven by Russell Barnett Ford, live at London's. This is the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Trucks, and more trucks. Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have your next truck. From the Ford F-Series, the Ram, Chevrolet, or the GMC, then look no further than the Russell Barnett family. With over 350 new and pre-owned trucks to choose from, now is the time to buy. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, Ford of Winchester, and Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, or visit us on the web at russellbarnett.com. Why buy anywhere else?
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to The Shasteen Show. I am Dan Smash Groggins. Along with me is Ken Keller, and we're going to talk a little NFL football and Preds hockey.
Yeah, NFL, you know, the New Orleans Saints finally lost a game, didn't they?
Yeah, they, by your Dallas Cowboys
team. Yeah, the Blue Star put it on them. I mean, I was really impressed. Last Thursday night game, the Saints had been on a roll. I think they had won, 10 games in a row?
10 games in a row.
10 games in a row. They were the hottest team in the NFL. The Cowboys cooled them off. They played really good defense, and they put themselves back squarely in the playoff picture, hadn't they, Smash?
Yes, they did. They were talking about how it wasn't the Cowboys offense that took the game away. It was the Cowboys defense, and the Saints just could not do anything. And then afterwards, there was little controversy going on. They said that there was a staffer with that star that you were talking about on the side of his shirt that had a cell phone behind Sean Payton, possibly giving the plays out.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't hear anything about that. And you know, if the New Orleans Saints are not the hottest team, certainly the Houston Texans are. And Deshaun Watson, they've won 9 in a row. I think the first team in the NFL history that's lost their first 3 games, Smash, and won 9 in a row. Man, they're on a roll. They're playing great football right now.
2 of the hottest teams. Well, before Sunday, 2 of the hottest teams were the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. The Indianapolis Colts, did you know this before Sunday, haven't allowed a sack on Andrew Luck in 5 games.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that. What a clean pocket.
Not even a hurry in 5 games.
Well, I know the Titans didn't get any sacks on him. They didn't even breathe on him.
No.
Couple weeks back. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. But now, you know, the Titans, okay, so they're down 16-zip yesterday. Smash, you watched the game, I'm sure.
I did.
16-0. They were at home. You know, the Twitter was blowing up about how sorry the Titans were. 5-6. They're going to drop 5 to 7. Guess what? They're still alive for the playoffs. They've even their record at 500, 6-6. Talk about the game yesterday and that comeback. How did they do it? And what do you think the Titans' prospects are for the playoffs? Do you think they've got a chance to get in as a wild card? So your thoughts on the game and their wild card possibilities for the Tennessee Titans?
Well, my prediction of 13-3 is now shot. So I'll go back to my other prediction of 10-6. So 10-6 right now. They have to beat Jacksonville, which before Sunday looked like it was an easy thing, but now that they shut out the Colts, it doesn't look that easy anymore. So they have to beat Jacksonville. Then they get
that game's Thursday night in Nashville, right?
Then they'll have the Giants. They'll have the Redskins.
Well, the Giants, they're facing Eli Manning there, so that should be a win, right?
And then,
I mean, he's had a terrible season. That's outside Odell Beckham Jr., Saquon Barkley. I mean, they're not much pumpkin at quarterback.
But he's also that's also another hot team right now because the Giants just beat the Bears.
Yeah, that was an upset
in an overtime game.
Yeah, great football game. Yeah.
So I think that it's very doable to win the next 5 games. Will they do it? I don't know. Much like last night's game, it seemed like a struggle to get one thing going, and they would get a penalty call or something of that effect that just seemed to like stop them dead in their tracks.
Yeah.
So whenever they got going, it seemed that whenever they got going, it seemed to me they got on a roll, and they made a couple touchdowns. But in between those touchdowns, it was a lot of penalties, a lot of mistakes They have to clean those mistakes up if they're going to start getting on a roll.
Yeah, they're getting pretty good play at the quarterback position right now, aren't they?
Mariota has been playing outstanding. The offensive line is not playing up to par right now.
Yeah. Does Taylor Lewan need to pipe it down? Does he need to shut up and play
I think
football?
that's his game.
You know, I was listening to Blaine Bishop this morning, you know, really early this morning. He said, hey, man, he said he's a good player that can become a great player if he'll just shut his mouth and play football. I mean, do you agree with that?
I think that is his game. That's what he thrives on. If you, I follow him on Twitter, and a lot of things that he does, that's just him. If you take that away from him, if you tell him to calm down, then you're not going to have the same player anymore.
And the point Bishop made was, you know, how vocal John Randall is. You know, John with Minnesota, the great player with Minnesota, defensive lineman. That was just his game. You know, and it didn't really rub people the wrong way. He talked it, but he walked it. And it's okay to talk it, walk it. Don't talk it and not be able to walk it. You know, Lewan has got beaten a bunch of times for sacks this year. He's had a lot of holding penalties. He's had personal foul penalties. He has trouble controlling his emotions at times. And I think that's really what, you know, some are saying, hey, man, just taper it down a little bit and talk and walk the talk instead of talking the talk.
That is one of the big things with him is he's always vocal. He's got a little bit of a mean streak. Along with him and Conklin are both the same type of player. They have a little bit of mean streak, and whenever they get riled up, next thing you know, it's going to be on. I mean,
maybe he's just a little upset that Michigan got beat down by Ohio State so bad, being a former Wolverine, and how Harbaugh's 0-4 against the Buckeyes. What do you think?
Maybe that might be.
Well, let's look at the division races a little bit. Who are some teams? You know, let's start with the AFC because that's where the Titans are. So let's talk about division leaders. You know, who in the AFC? Of course, you know, you got to look at probably Kansas City right now in that AFC West. You know, Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes having a tremendous year in his second year in the league. He's tearing it up. Is Kansas City or the Houston Texans the best team in the AFC right now? Who do you think is better between those two teams?
I would not put the Patriots out by any means.
Yeah, no, let's just leave them out for a second. And between those two teams, who do you think is better?
Out of Kansas City and the Texans,
because they're the hottest too.
I think Kansas City got hurt a lot losing Hunt.
Yes.
Because of his suspension, or not suspension, he's put on the commissioner's list, which he cannot play until he's cleared of that.
Yeah, he's out for the season. He's not going to play this year. Yeah.
And I think that if they go to a head-to-head matchup, I think Texans are going to beat them because of their defense.
Yeah, Texans got a great defense. Davion Clowney, J.J. Watt, so they're playing good. And they're getting great quarterback play, wide receiver play. You know, right now, some big play. You know, and is anybody playing the quarterback position? You know, better. I guess if you talk about those two teams, Mahomes and Watson have really showed out at quarterback. Probably best two quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yes,
arguably.
I would. Yeah, I would definitely put them in the top 5.
Yeah, they're playing really good right now.
Mahomes,
along with Brady, of course.
Nobody ever thought that that Mahomes was going to be what he is right now. But
so let's bring the Patriots back in the picture in the AFC. Patriots, Chiefs, Houston could be any of those three. Is your AFC champion, or do you have a wild card? What, the Steelers? Who are you? Chargers?
It all depends on
looking at.
It all depends on who gets hot at the end.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
The Chargers are playing great right now. If the Chargers were in any other division, they would be leading.
Who won between the Chargers and Steelers?
Chargers.
So they beat the Steelers yesterday. Watch out there. There you go. So if there's one team in the AFC to look out for, you think maybe they could sneak in through the back door, the San Diego Chargers, or is it Los Angeles Chargers?
I think that Chargers have the first the wild card locked up.
Okay. Hey, it's hard for a wild card team to make the Super Bowl. So
you know, Giants did it.
Yeah, it's been done. You know, the Cowboys did it back in the 70s, but it's pretty rare. So let's flip over real quick to the NFC. And I know you want to talk Preds, and we'll get them in just a second. NFC, who's the team to beat in the NFC? The Rams.
I wouldn't put my
Rams, the Saints.
I wouldn't put my money against the Saints right now because I mean they lost to Cowboys, but I think that's just going to make them stronger. They already beat the Rams.
Yeah.
The Bears have a great defense.
Yeah.
Cowboys are leading right now, but you never know what could happen in that division.
So the Rams were blown out by the Saints. You still got the Saints as a slight advantage in the NFC, probably. I think I do, because they get home field based on that head-to-head. So let's jump to Preds, man. You got a couple minutes left. Close the show out, Smash. Break us down. How the Preds doing? What they done recently? How's their streaks going? They winning? They losing? What are they doing, man? Who's playing well?
The Preds tonight, and you can watch this at London's big screens anywhere around here, and they will put it on for you. They are playing the hottest team in the NHL, the Buffalo Sabres.
Tonight? Oh, wow.
The Buffalo Sabres head coach is one Phil Housley, the Preds' former head coach. Or not former assistant coach. I'm sorry about that. And the Preds have lost a couple of games, but they've also have a lot of players on IR right now.
Some injuries.
They have PK Subban on IR, or he just came off IR, and he is practicing with the team. You got Philip Forsberg on IR. You got Kyle Turris on IR. Benito went on IR last week. And let's see, and Arvidsson has a broken thumb, and he's supposed to miss 6 to 8 weeks. So those 5 players, could be on an all-star team. So you just took 5 of your top Predators players and took them off the team for a little while. And the Preds still beat the Blackhawks 5-2 last week.
So they're definitely injured, but still winning.
They still know how to win, and there's
some good depth.
There's people that are stepping up, and that's a reason why Polite made this team this way. And speaking of Polite, on December the 12th, he will be the first Predator, because he's the GM of the Predators, that will be inducted to the NHL Hall of Fame.
Wow.
He will be inducted into the Hall of Fame in the Marriott in Nashville on December 12th. I don't know if you can get tickets to the event. I would love to go, because that's going to be a historic moment of the Preds, going into that Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty crazy.
All right, so we're fixing to break it down, but I want you, before we go, the Titans play the Jaguars on Thursday night special. Who's going to win that game, Smash? Make your prediction, and then take us out of here.
The Titans have won the last 3 times against Jacksonville. I don't see it any differently, because they seem to have their number. They run the ball, and they control the line of scrimmage. That's where Jacksonville makes their money, is the line of scrimmage.
So you've got Titans?
I got the Titans winning.
Titans going 7-6. You heard it from Smash. Smash, sign us off here. Great show tonight, man. Thanks for filling in.
Shasteen would sign off. I am Dan Smash Scroggins. That is Ken Keller. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.